you started streaming the MMA Bourbon Society on NFAs on accident.
When you're an admin on a couple different pages and when you immediately show up for a podcast and they start handing you drinks, sometimes mistakes happen. So we were streaming and I was like, guys, why don't you see the podcast? And they were like, well, we don't see it, we can't share it. And I'm like, hold on. And then I realized, oh crap, I'm on the Nemesis page. Oops.
Did Brad and Marlene say anything?
They haven't said anything. I was trying to delete the episode as fast as I can, but we had 3 different eggnogs that we were trying, and I was like,
how long until you realized, like, how long have you been streaming?
Probably like 3-4 minutes. So long enough for people to notice. And then I couldn't delete the post, so then I was like, what am I going to do now? Oh well. Right. But that was and then so Jim, he hooked me up. He gave me some of his Weller CYPB, which is like a $400 bottle.
Yeah.
He gave me a pour of that. I said, here, you need this.
What a gentleman. Now we got to get Craig on, because if I have you, Jeremy, and Jim.
You need to have Jim's wife on first. Because she's always there.
Everybody else.
And then Cammie, Jim's daughter.
At this point, it's like a running meme that, like, Craig, if I have him on, then we lose the joke.
Yeah.
So, but I also do want to talk to him, because he's been doing Bare Knuckle now.
Yeah.
He's making the rounds.
So Bare Knuckle's getting ready to do a cruise. They're gonna do like a cruise ship, where where their fans buy like a 3 or 4 day cruise pass and
just watch people get
and they have fights on the show. And I don't know if they're gonna fight in the open waters or at docks or whatever, but it's the Bare Knuckle.
Dude, they need to have like scuba suits in like those Shark Tank cage things.
Well,
and then like it's just sharks swarming them.
They do the hockey brawls. Have you seen that? The Ice Wars?
Dude, I've seen everything now. Do you know in Russia, they have like full plate metal.
Yes.
Like
I actually like that.
If I was 20, if you took me back, and it's like MMA or like full on medieval combat.
Dude, how good would Julius be at that? Like the
Julius Anglicus? He'd be the one guy in there with no armor, just a battle axe.
Like the Techno Viking.
I actually got to talk to him a little bit. He's actually he's getting ready for like the next stage of his life, man, which is, it's interesting to listen to fighters, because like Julius has been up there, man. He was at the highest level. He was fighting Vadim Nevkov and Phil Davis up in Bellator. I mean, he really got to see what the top of the mountain looked like, and it was interesting talking to him, because he got injured after his last fight, or maybe even before his last fight.
Yeah, he's been having some knee issues. Yeah.
Exactly. He's just, I mean, wear and tear on the body when you're fighting the savages of the world. And to talk to him and to listen to him kind of say, like, this next stage of my life, it was kind of like, it was peaceful. It was nice. It was like, because how many fighters do you know? Yeah. They get to that point, and then you start seeing them take fights that they shouldn't be because they need a payday. Yeah. And luckily for Julius, he's not that guy.
Well, I don't know if you knew this, but his parents live in the Hamptons in New York.
Oh,
so that's where all
Julius does?
So that's where all the rich people from New York go to vacation in the Sumpters, the Hamptons, right?
I didn't know he was loaded.
This is the guy who was sleeping under Alejandro's bunk bed
when Alejandro was at Lindenwood.
Yeah, and he wasn't even enrolled at the college.
Imagine
he needed a place to
how big that bunk bed must be to fit a Julius Anglicus underneath. And for those that don't know, Julius Anglicus, Google this motherfucker. He's like literally chiseled from granite. He's like 6'4", 220 pounds, 215 of it is muscle.
His muscles have muscles.
His head has muscles.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you were trying to like smuggle in like a Mike Garrett or somebody like that, you know, a short,
easy peasy.
But a giant Lithuanian dude.
Also, one of the, like, a gentle giant. Like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Oh, hi, Ariane. How's it going? I'm like, dude, I'm so thankful that we live in like 2025 and not 1305.
So he asked me, he's like, hey Matt, I wanna start streaming. Can you help me out? So
Twitch streaming?
Yeah. So he and I went to Micro Center. No, it was Twitch. He and I went to Micro Center, and I was like, so what are you looking to get? And he's like, laptop. And man, we loaded the cart full of. He got a gaming laptop, like a nice gaming laptop.
But to stream?
Yeah.
Why not a piece? Like, I mean,
he's got 2 devices. He's going to stream on one. Gotcha. But we loaded up the cart, and it was expensive. But he was just like,
Has he started yet? Just wanted to take a second to pause the action and just tell you guys, thank you so much for consuming our content. Easy Talk is a passion project. This podcast is just a bunch of like-minded people coming together to produce some cool stuff and talk to some cool people. One of the things I would very much appreciate is if you could possibly like the video or subscribe to the channel. just because it helps us in the algorithm and ultimately to grow, to get more exposure to everybody, including ourselves, and ultimately just make a better product. Take a second. I'd greatly appreciate it. And on with the show. I'd watch him.
He's got it all set up, and I was trying to give him some ideas. Man, you've got a lot of history, and should lean into your combat sports a little bit. Maybe do some gym videos, and just make it a whole thing.
Well, is he trying to do it to make money, or do it as a passion project? What was kind of the?
It's a passion project.
Or
project.
maybe both.
He's really into tactical battles.
Dude, he plays StarCraft 2. I actually just messaged him literally 2 days ago because he was posting something on his story about some other game anyway.
Yeah.
But he used to play StarCraft 2. And
yeah.
I used to play StarCraft 2.
Me too.
Oh man, you're not playing that anymore?
My guys, we would play 4v4s.
Oh, really?
And we never made it out of the Bronze League. We never made it out of the Bronze League. But,
I didn't say we were good, but we played.
But we had those 2-hour 4v4 battles that were,
epic.
You would just mine every resource off the planet, and it was just so much fun. StarCraft was so, man, there was a time 2008 when StarCraft was the hottest.
You talking
game.
about Brood War, old
No,
StarCraft
this was
1?
StarCraft
Oh no,
2.
StarCraft 2 came out in
Yeah.
2008. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I was getting up early.
Wings of Liberty.
I was getting up early in the morning watching the Korean G1s,
Yeah.
the tournaments.
I remember Total Biscuit was still alive.
Yeah.
And he was casting those. I remember the little one, and I remember
There's
watching those.
Artosis.
Yes,
and,
I remember watching some of that. And
yeah.
some of those guys would then go on to become streamers themselves.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how video games have gone in my lifetime. Went from a weird subcategory. When I was little, if you played video games, you were considered weird.
Yeah.
Which I thought was stupid because literally every single one of my friends played video games. Back in the N64 days, I remember a game called Mario Party.
Yeah.
It was the first game that I was oh, you can have friends over. And in the N64, you had 4 slots for controllers.
Yeah.
That was maybe some of the most fun and also the first fist fight I ever got into when someone stole one of my stars.
Well, GoldenEye was also big in that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the big N64 party game. People in dorms, I don't know how many hours and hours, millions of hours.
Super Smash Bros.
Smash
The
Bros.
OG Super Smash Bros. N64. I also remember too, the first game that actually ever took my breath away was Ocarina of Time. When the intro theme song comes on and it's him riding the horse after the sunrise, I remember 6-year-old Arion was what the fuck am I looking at? Because before then, the video games that I saw were 2D. You know what I mean? Literally Pong and shit like that.
Yeah.
Or Ninja Gaiden, but on the Sega, everything was 2D. So Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever, nothing was 3D. And then we went from the Sega to the N64, and then overnight I played Banjo-Kazooie and Ocarina of Time, and 6-year-old Arion was Jesus Christ, we are in the future.
So I'm old enough to remember when NES was new. The original Nintendo was brand new. It just hit the market. That's how old I am. But I remember there was always that one. Everybody was a Nintendo kid, but there was that one weird kid who had a Sega, and he was talking about Altered Beast and Phantasy Star and all these. What are you talking
Shut up,
about? Because we were all Mario, Super Mario and Mario Kart, and all.
It's kind of sad to see that the. I feel everybody else has stepped up their game. Yeah. And if you're a Nintendo fanboy, when you were 10, you're playing Mario.
Yeah.
And when you're 30, you're playing Mario. And if you're 50, guess what you're playing still? Mario. It's kind of, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but.
I'm playing Arc Raiders right now, which is an amazing game. I think you should check that out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a looter shooter. I just can't, dude. I have to, the games that I play now have to be something that I can pause.
Yeah.
Or exclusively after 9 p.m. once baby's asleep and I don't have to worry about anything.
Well, it's an extraction shooter, so you go to the surface, you get as much loot as you can, and then you call for an elevator, and there's nothing like a butt-puckering moment like the elevator.
I hope I don't die.
It's almost here, because you not only do you have to worry about the AI, you also have to worry about players who will kill you and take your stuff, and they just love doing that.
You know this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so my producer's so I know that
it gets intense.
Butthole fully puckered.
It gets intense when you're waiting on that elevator to pick you up when you have some stuff in your.
I played Hunt Showdown a while back ago. It was something very similar to looter shooter, but it was you would go kill a boss and then come back. It was an interesting gameplay loop. The problem is, I'll say it out loud. The problem is cheating.
Yeah,
and cheating in without question, first-person shooters has such rampant cheating that this whole time investment to risk-reward system is lost on me. So I'll give you an example. When I play PUBG, because that's the game I play now, whenever my daughter goes to sleep, let's say you get in the top 10. You probably spent 20 minutes on that map, right?
Yeah.
And by then, if there is a cheater, they're getting good at catching them, that they're getting banned off the maps, or let's say you die to a bot or whatever, not the end of the world, right? You're like, okay, whatever, we'll jump in again. I could not imagine if I did like 3 runs, got my guy super fucking geared, and then I step into a mat and I'm getting domed from like 300 meters away from a guy that shouldn't be able to see me, and he's lasering me.
Right.
And now I just lost all my shit. The problem with online games is unless you have like some Riot level anti-cheat software where I have to basically like give my PC to the Chinese government, I'm going to get domed by some like 12-year-old who can download an easy cheat.
I've played PUBG with you before, and when we play with you, it's like we just try and hold on and keep up with you, because you see somebody and you're like Leroy Jenkins, you're like into the fray.
Dude, listen, I'm an American, all right? We're doing it for freedom.
And we're just like
hate us.
trying to keep up.
It's the one thing that I can stay universally competitive in. As far as I want to stay competitive in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like in every other aspect of life, I don't get to choose the competition level. Work, corporate America and stuff like that. I either rise to the occasion or I literally suffer. Fighting was the same thing. Like I don't get to have an off day. If I do, I'm gonna get my face beat in.
Right.
So video games is one of those things where like one day I can be like, all right, today I want to be like super aggressive. This is how I'm gonna play.
Right.
And the other day I could be like, whatever. I just want to be on with the boys, have a whiskey, shoot the shit.
So we've been playing Arc Raiders with Chris, my buddy Chris, and Dan Rock, and he's like, okay, if we see people, we're kill on sight. We're going for it, kill on sight. We can't trust anybody. And we get into a map, we see some people, and we engage, and he's hiding under the bridge. And we're like, what are you doing? So we have to spectate him for like 10 minutes.
Fuck that.
Fuck that. I was like, come on.
That was the other thing, too. If you're the guy, like if you're playing a squad game, Warzone, whatever, and like you're the last one alive, and then you decide to be like the ultra conservative, like no, we have to be super strategic. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I was like, what happened to the plan, man?
Go get some kills or die. Like I'm trying to get in. That is the one downside of like a PUBG game is like when you do squads.
Yeah.
It can get a little rough.
It can get rough.
You drop down at school and you get your fucking poo pushed in, but then you got one guy who ran away and he's like, okay, guys, I'll try to take it home for us. You're like, I don't want to watch you play.
He talked so much crap before the game, and then when it was. And he's the only one that's actually served military, too. So.
Well, that's probably why. He's my fucking.
Yeah, I can survive.
Just like, I've been here before. The reason I brought you on, brother, was. I had Brett Auten on, and he would, I think a lot of people would say he was the other half. I know that you guys had another partner that was in KC, but from the perspective of St. Louis martial arts, it was you and Brett basically spearheading Knuckle Junkies.
There was like 5 of us. We all worked at the newspaper together.
Okay.
And there was Scott, who was a photographer, Chris, who was a graphic designer, Skip was a programmer, Brett was the
chief executive.
He was the editor, the writer guy, and I was the MMA guy, like the nerd who like watched.
I know the guys.
UFC 1 and 2 and 3 on VHS, and watch every single Pride event. Like I was like, I don't know, I was like the hype guy, But
you were the energy in the room.
Slowly, as we got into this, and we realized that there wasn't going to be like a revenue stream, those guys kind of their interest started to wane, and we lost Skip, and then we lost Scott, and I just started taking over like more responsibility.
More stuff.
So I started emulating Chris's style as graphic design. I learned a lot. Whenever you basically get thrust into, it's either sink or swim. And I wanted to keep going, so I learned like to mimic his style of making all the graphics and stuff. So pretty much all of KJ, except for like that first year, Brett would write half the stories, I would write the other half. And then I would do all the graphics and I would post and everything, So
do you ever look back, Matt, and think to yourself like sour grapes, because you and Brett put in so much effort, time, and it was a passion project for you, and like everybody in the St. Louis community, like we all recognize it. It's like universally accepted that Knuckle Junkies was like such a net positive for the promotions, the gyms, the fighters. And then for you guys to not be able to hold a candle to Bree Eckert, who single-handedly did more for St. Louis
she did a
MMA
lot.
than anybody else.
She did a lot. Her contribution will never go unnoticed.
You know, I'm just saying that girl.
You're gonna get a cease and desist letter for this podcast. But no, it wasn't sour grapes at all because we had a blast. And Brett and I obviously we were entrenched in the community because we did jujitsu.
Yeah, you guys trained at St. Charles
and
MMA.
and it's kind of there's really a fine line. I don't think we were really like a news thing. We were more just like documenting like because we were friends with a lot of people and it's hard to see your friends fight. But we were just kind of documenting.
The reason you were so beloved by everybody is, in a lot of ways, with this podcast, I try to emulate that style of like, do I have my favorites? Yeah. Do I have like my, I don't want to say favorites, but like, do I have the people that I have relationships with?
Right.
Absolutely. And I am biased. Like when Evan Elder is on,
right, sure.
like I definitely want to talk to Evan Elder. Do I want to talk to Evan Elder more than some people? Yeah. I like Evan Elder. I trained with Evan Elder. But like, do I also want to talk to the people that I haven't trained with? Absolutely. Knuckle Junkies was kind of like that. Like we all knew that you guys had some roots somewhere, but you would still give coverage to the MCS guys. You'd still give coverage to Steve Berger, and like you would do these like intricate, like in-depth, stories, and you would do like multi-series stories.
It's kind of like when your mom's a teacher and you have to. She doesn't treat you as fairly. She tries to hold you
to a higher standard.
So we really wanted to be fair to Shamrock and to Finney's and to MCS and Burger and all the gyms and stuff like that. So John Minky called us yellow journalism. I had to look that up, which is it's just like soft journalism. It's not. It's kind of like more like a magazine, not really like, but which is fine.
What are you supposed to do? Find the fraud?
I mean, we were storytellers.
MMA?
We're storytellers. We were trying to tell a story like. This is kid from Afton who's,
You brought a lot of value to guys. Like, in a lot of ways, you guys were the earliest form of marketing for some of... I remember the first article you wrote on me when I beat Court Wall by decision at Shady Jacks. And then that night, you guys posted a story and my face is on the thumbnail. That was the first time I realized the power of marketing. I was like, because you guys posted that, I shared it to my Facebook. And then a bunch of people that I knew that didn't know that I was fighting because I just... I posted a picture of me training, but they didn't know I was fighting. They're like, oh shit, Arian's already like 4-0, 5-0, whatever I was. Because you guys did that story, I was able to share that. It was the first time I marketed myself, but through the paradigm of the work that you guys had done.
Yeah.
So that isolated experience with me extrapolated to everybody else.
And we always tried to have that recap
that night or
the next morning so you could enjoy the show or you could enjoy reading the recap.
Well, you guys did this one that night because we got done at like 5 p.m. because it was an early morning show. And then,
but yeah, we kind of turned into we really couldn't. Brett and I could not have done it without like our volunteer army with like Jimmy Range, who was our photographer, Sarah Levin. I mean, great photographer. Jimmy and Sarah were. They loved the sport. They loved going to the events. They were great. We had you doing interviews. Jordan.
I'll never forget when Zach Bucia. I was like, "What weight class?"
I watched that the other day.
He just like won the belt, or like he won a fight.
One of his great moments, and this guy was like, "What weight class are you at? What is that?"
What was it? 170?
It was 170. He's like, "Is that welterweight?"
Yeah. And he's looking at me. I was like, "Bro, I'm a bantamweight. If it's not bantamweight, bantamweight or featherweight." And Zach looked at me like, "I'll murder you."
But you helped us a lot with the interviews. Debo, remember Big Debo?
Yes.
He did a lot of interviews for us. Jordan did a lot of write-ups.
Jordan's out,
we kind of gave him the Extreme Fight Night beat. That was kind of his thing. He did some other shows
for us. We did. I'll tell you why I did it, because it was the earliest. I was maybe like 23, 24. I was working at AmDoc still, I think. And it was more about like, we had such an appreciation for Knuckle Junkies that when you guys tapped us, like, would you like to do this? We're like, fuck yeah. Like, you guys helped us so much. The least we can do is reciprocate.
Right.
I want you to know that that's why I did it. Like when you, it was before you and I had a friendship, like before we built a bond. It was because of that process began.
Yeah.
But before that, I was just like, dude, anything you guys need, you let me know.
We had some good times. I remember, especially one good time when we had Chipotle, you, me, and Jordan, and we went and covered Jared's show there at the Shafitz.
Yes.
And that was an interesting night.
One and only.
It went really long.
That was also when Luis Pena got one of the nastiest switch knee knockouts I've ever seen in my life. And I think perhaps was that Josh Sampo's last fight? That Muay Thai fight he had?
It might have been.
I think that might have been his last professional fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't know it at the time.
Yeah,
but
Sampo, he holds a special place in my heart. When I got my blue belt, you know about the Vagi blue belt test, right? It's like 2 hours of them trying to
They make you hold a shake weight in each hand for an hour.
They make you try and quit, right?
And they keep spraying body lotion on you.
They make you try and quit, and after 2 hours of them trying to make you just give up, 30 minutes of bear crawls, 30 minutes of bear crawling. And if you cheat, they yell at you, But after that, you do an hour of rolling, and my foot was completely ripped open. And Sampo pulls some tape off of his wrist, and I tape my foot up, and I'm just that was a brothers and
It's also a savage moment.
Yeah.
Look at you. You have it in you.
Yeah, that was so I'll never say anything bad about Sampo. He's a great guy.
No, I agree that the majority of the people that I met there are phenomenal people, but I would also say that the majority of the people that I met at every gym are phenomenal people.
Him, Travis, Alan Smith.
Alan Smith holds a warm place in my heart when you consider how successful he is as well.
Yeah.
He sat there and white belt Ariane was going over I think an hour, and he'll probably forgot this. There was a day where I came in and no one else showed up, and it was for his class, and he's like, "You want to go over arm bars?" And I was like, I thought he was gonna all right, I'm gonna go home. He went over arm bars with just me for an hour. Gave me a private for free.
I don't know how many times I've walked.
And then I went on to use arm bars 0 times in fights. So I'm sorry. I've never gotten anybody with an arm bar, but I learned them because of you.
I don't know how many times I've walked in the gym at 6 for the jiu-jitsu class, and Alan's in a white Oxford and Dockers and nice shoes. He had just put in a shift at Mertz. He's a vice president at one of the biggest hospitals in St. Louis, and he's on the ground showing how to twist your hips with an arm bar. He didn't change into his gi. He went right into teacher mode.
Let me offer you a different paradigm. Works for a healthcare company and then teaches people how to send people to his healthcare company.
Maybe building customers.
We don't have to wait for the accidents to happen. We can make them. If I break enough arms, we'll make money.
Yeah, exactly. But you passed through there for a little while.
I trained everywhere
on your world tour.
I trained everywhere. I started at CMAA, then went to Jared's for a little bit at MCS for a week. Yeah, for a week. Then he had some weird thing. You want to know? I didn't know it at the time, but Jim Jenkins was trying to be my manager.
Okay,
which was fine. Even today when I look back on it, fine with that. I just didn't understand the nuance of that back when I was younger. So I guess him and Jared had a disagreement of how that was going to work.
They were off and on again friends a lot.
Yeah, I think I think everybody's flawed. I don't think anybody's perfect, myself included. But is Jim Jenkins a bad guy? I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think that he miscalculated and didn't execute properly on some things. Same thing I would say about Jared, by the way. Jared is not also not a bad guy. Just miscalculated. Did some.
I learned a lot about mixed martial arts from talking to Jim.
Long
conversations with Jim when I was at work. Just passing the time, and he's seen a lot, done a lot, and we obviously Zach Freeman was one of our Brett and I's favorite fighters. He had the whole package.
Talk about a guy who's crushing it outside of fighting.
Yeah,
he's crushing it.
But we were talking about what's the how high can this guy go, and Jim was like, Matt, there are 150 Zach Freemans across the country. He's our Zach. So we love him.
1,000
but
across
there's
the world.
100. But no, Zach did well. I mean, he had that fight at Bellator
when he beat
Madison
Aaron
Square
Pico
Garden
the way he did. And I remember too that because Aaron Pico had a different opponent, right? And then I think they did a late replacement, late 6 weeks, enough to have a small camp. But I remember they were brushing Zach Freeman off, and I was thinking to myself, and I remember I was talking to some people, not necessarily at St. Charles at the time.
That wasn't a very safe fight for them.
No, that was a very risky fight for Aaron Pico to have his first fight against Zach Freeman, who had just fought Thiago Moises for the RFA championship at the time.
Also towered over him.
Yes. I mean, Zach's not a small guy.
Yeah.
And when you look back on that fight, I mean, listen, Aaron Pico's still a motherfucker, don't get me wrong. But that was a tall order to ask for that guy's debut. And Zach rose to the occasion at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Rocked him and then choked him unconscious.
So that fight has a special place in my heart. Also, I did his banner. I did his T-shirt.
Matt making it all about him.
So getting to, I went
to those logos on that shirt. Yeah,
they were in the perfect spot on that banner. They were placed perfectly. But no, I went to the fight party at Tracy Taylor's house, and we watched the fight.
How hard did all of you lose your shit?
Oh, it was like a
just
eruption.
One collective sploot.
Yeah, it was an eruption. But yeah,
how many people were there? Was it like the whole gym?
Yeah, it was like
everyone just lost their shit.
There was probably like 20, 25 people there. But we were all obviously,
jazzed up.
And those fight watch parties can go. And God love Adam Sella. You had him on recently. I remember when he was on The Ultimate Fighter, and he was on there, and they're sworn to secrecy. They have to sign
they have the NDAs. Yeah,
right. And I'm like,
Can we talk about that just for a brief moment? At the time, The Ultimate Fighter was a pre-recorded show.
Right.
So they would record like 10 weeks of whatever it was that the guys were doing. Then the guys would leave and they'd start editing and everything. But the guys were sworn through NDAs, like, you can't talk about what happens on the show. So Adam Sella was on the show. He comes back and everyone's like, how'd you do? And all this stuff. Adam can't say anything. So he does a watch party for his fight.
I'm like, he's got to win this one, right? No one in their mind would be hyping the watch party as much as he is at Lumiere Casino. He's having a watch party at Lumiere Casino. He's got to win this fight. He's tipping his hand a little bit on this one, right? He's got to win this fight. And then we know the rest is history.
I'm sorry, Adam.
This. But yeah, I was like,
he's got a really good sense of humor about it.
He does.
And he's like, Tony was here. He was doing Adam's episode, and Tony didn't know who Adam was. And then Adam was talking about like how they got knocked out by Uriah Hall, and Tony goes, "That's who you are." And I'm like, Adam, if you just stop talking about it, it'll eventually go away.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now Adam's talking about like having Uriah on CXBJJ, and he's like, if I can choke him unconscious, I can stand up and be like, sorry, Uriah.
Well, yeah, I think Adam claims to have submitted John Jones.
That's what he says. He says he's the GOAT. I can't argue with that logic.
Yeah,
But ultimately, Artem Lobov is the GOAT. So until you beat him, like 16 other men have.
Yeah, Alex White beat him.
Yeah. That's another one. When you think about all the fighters that have come up through St. Louis, it's kind of funny how like we don't get any respect as a city.
I was thinking about this yesterday. The 2010s, we had Lance Benoist. We had Josh Sampo and Alp Oskulich. They both got signed to the same
Before
week.
that, though, you also had Tyron Woodley and Michael Chandler coming up through here.
And Mike Chandler. We also had Chris Heatherly.
Yes.
He made a splash there. Alex White, Jake Collier, Andrew Sanchez. Jake.
Well, how many of the guys also that fought for Bellator, like EJ Brooks, who didn't necessarily go to the UFC, but also fought for like a high level promotion? You know what I mean? So it's like
those are all the 2010. Jake Hecht. I don't know if you know Jake Hecht. There was all the Springfield guys, Dustin Jacoby.
It did get kind of a little. I did get a little salty because one of the things we missed was the network element. And that is one of the things that Kansas City did get right with James Krause and Glory. Right. I mean, James was in good with the UFC brass. He knew Hunter. He knew Dana
also
and Sean
Jason
Shelby.
House and
he knew the network to properly get his guys set up to then get on the show, or the big show, in a way that we just never had in St. Louis.
Yeah, Alex White had a great career.
How many fights did he have? 8?
Yeah, I think
9 fights in the UFC?
I think his last one maybe was with James Krause, right? At UFC St. Louis.
And it was a close fight. It was a good fight.
Jake Collier had a lot of fights in the UFC. All those guys. I want to say all of the St. Charles guys had.
Both of those guys, Pat Smith. No, one was Pat Smith. One was Joe Warden. Sorry.
Yeah. When we started in Knuckle Junkies in like 2011. It was like gangland warfare, man. There was like your Southside Fight Club, your Burgers MMA. You had
MCS, CMAA, St. Charles MMA.
There were so many teams.
You had so many gyms and so many affiliations and so many promotions.
Yeah,
dude, I hate to say it this way.
Remember the War Room?
Yes, I hate to say it this way, man. I didn't realize it at the time, but in a lot of ways, that was the golden era of St. Louis MMA.
I was thinking the same thing. It was we didn't realize at the time, but we were living in the golden era of MMA because MMA now is more McDonaldized. It's not as
there's just no story.
Yeah,
you're missing a Knuckle Junkies. I'm trying in my own way through the podcast, But like the problem with the podcast is it's long form individual.
Right.
It's not like I can do like little shorts like boom, boom,
Right.
boom about the fighters, about the gyms, about all these other things, about this upcoming fight. You know what I mean? It didn't attract the same attention the way that Knuckle Junkies did in terms of variety. You could have an article about, let's say Sampo was fighting Alp for whatever reason. You could have an article about Sampo on a Monday, an article about Alp on a Wednesday, and then the pre-fight, what would you call them? Rundowns about every fight on the card on a Friday before the fight on a Saturday. Then you'd have a recap on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And that whole week, you had the main event, both sides covered.
Right.
You had a rundown of everybody on the main event to be like, who are some of these guys? Who are some of the notable fighters? And then you'd also have the rundown, and then you'd have the aggregation of everything that would happen after the fact.
I checked recently. I searched the word recap on our website. There was 280 articles that had recap in it. So that means we covered 280 plus shows.
Yeah, at least.
And I probably went to 250 of those. Like, I did not miss hardly a show at all.
Do you miss that?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Like, there was, when we first started, I would do a show on Friday night. The first show I did was Fight Hard at Family Arena, and the second night was at South Broadway Athletic Club for Proving Ground. Talk about opposite ends of the
different spectrums.
And then the next week we had another Saturday show, and then the weekend that another Saturday show. They had 4 shows in a month,
Fight Hard was so amazing.
Yeah.
And to think about how awesome that opportunity was. I got to fight in front of like 4,000 people at the Family Arena as an amateur
on a
multiple
times. Catwalk across.
On a cat, I felt like
high-fiving people.
Bro, I felt like a superstar as an amateur. And then
the problem is to go from that to something else, though.
Well, there's
high highs.
There's different things in different ways. Because I'll be the first person to tell you, when I fought for Shamrock, like the crowd was smaller than what you had at Fight Hard, and it was definitely not as grand, but it was also like higher class. Like River City Casino. My first fight for Shamrock was Cortavius.
Right.
And that was my first time at River City Casino. I was like, oh my God, this is like, look at the banners.
Were you old enough to get in there?
No, I was like 22. I was like 22, so I
have been to shows where they're like,
you fight and
hey
you have to
buddy,
leave.
great fight. You gotta
get the fuck out. No, so I was old enough to go there, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like, my teens, like 19, 20, that's when I fought for Jim.
Yeah.
Because I remember I went pro shortly after graduating, and that's when I fought Trevor Ward.
Trevor Ward, yeah.
And I was like 23, and I had fought Cortavius before, like a year before. Yeah, man, it's...
You beat Trevor in and out of the cage, right?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, stop. You're right, but stop.
But no, yeah, I remember you fought Trevor and then Cortavius and then Scott Edling, and then, it was... you had a good run there. You fought some really tough dudes.
Everybody that I could.
Yeah.
Everybody that would say yes.
I think I watched all your fights, pretty much all your fights. Horatio was the one that got us sweating because, like...
He clipped me in the first round.
Yeah, because you dropped to one knee.
First, like, 15
and then
seconds.
Stood up like the Terminator. You're like...
Well, That was the hardest I think I've ever been hit in a fight, which is funny because Austin Bashy ended up finishing me with a TKO. But like with the Austin Bashy fight, there was never a moment where I wasn't in that fight.
Yeah.
But with the Horacio fight, when he clipped me with that hook, that was the first time in my life where I was like, oh, there goes 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like 2 seconds.
I loved hearing your stories about sparring at Finney's with like guys like Kevin Engel. Like that guy
God.
was an underrated MMA guy. Like he could have been, if he would have had a little more.
He's hit me the hardest I've ever been hit.
If Kevin was like a little bit younger and spent a little more jiu-jitsu classes, he could have been.
He hit me the hardest I've ever been hit, and he didn't even try to hit me hard.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I've sparred with Buckley, I sparred with Shard Woodson, I've sparred with Rashard Lovelace when he was alive. Like you talk about the who's who of strikers, I've sparred with them, all of them. And Kevin Engel, just little like check uppercut because I kept ducking, hit me so square in my face that I felt lightning to my toes. And I was like,
I've heard Drew Gagas is like that too. Like
I'm sure. I never got to spar him, so forgive me. There's a slew of guys I haven't sparred. And of the ones I have.
And another one is Jake Collier.
Really?
Because
he's also a big motherfucker.
He's a welder, and he's like moving steel around all day, so his hand strength is crazy. But I watched him fight a guy in Sullivan, and he hit the guy with a jab, and the guy was like, like trying to field, make sure his face is still there because he felt like it got caved in.
Well, now after years and years of MMA, we all can establish that construction is the strongest base for. You got Demetrius Johnson,
exactly. Roofing and construction.
You had Marab. So, like, if you're some sort of blue collar worker, have you tried the UFC?
Yeah.
You're probably a world champion. You just don't know it.
A funny Jake Collier story. He had a main event fight at Ameristar for Rumble Time, Jim Jenkins. And I was there doing an interview at Burgers because he would come up and spar at Burgers. And Jim was there dropping off tickets, and we're sitting there talking and watching them. And there's this guy, David Sharp. I don't know if you remember David Sharp.
I don't. Forgive me, David.
He was like a D1 football player and wrestler.
So,
big
athletic motherfucker.
Dude, like, yeah. And his gloves were so worn down, they were just basically leather. They weren't. There was no padding in there.
Kind of an asshole move.
And he was sparring Collier, and he clipped him, and there was real concern that Jake might not make this fight because he might have got like
cut or whatever.
Yeah, and Patrick called off, but
hey, we gotta
yeah,
fight
that was.
Relax.
But Jim was like on edge, like we should.
Dude, I just almost lose my main event.
Yeah, and you know how that goes. You lose a main event.
Oh, dude, I remember one time me and Jordan Dowdy were like sparring, and I mean, talk about like we have shin guards and 16-ounce gloves and everything, and we're hitting each other hard and all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's how.
And my forehead barely touches his forehead, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, man. Like, did we like headbutt each other? But like graze. I'm fine. I look up. He's got like a 2-inch vagina above his eyebrow, and I'm just like looking at him like. It's literally 2 weeks before his fight. I go, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And I wonder if that was just because of dehydration or...
No, I think it's like, I don't know if that was scar tissue from a previous cut, thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is like, I hate to say it this way, Jim Jenkins said it best.
That was pre-Macklin, too, probably.
Pre-Macklin. But Jim Jenkins also said it best. He said that there are so many variables that go into a healthy, strong career, and that no one wants to admit this, but luck is a factor.
Yeah.
Luck is a factor.
For sure.
If you were born, if your athletic prime was during COVID and you weren't in the UFC, that's unlucky.
Yeah, we are fortunate in St. Louis to have somebody like Doc Macklin because he does the internal stitch.
Well, he's a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, he's a plastic surgeon.
He's the one that should be doing sutures.
So you don't get like the Nick Diaz guys that have like the...
I want to have him on the podcast, but his prerequisite is that I read his book.
Well, I asked you to read my book, so...
Not a grower, not a shower. Is that a New York Times bestseller?
New York Times bestseller. But no.
I hope you know that's staying behind me now. So now, like, every fucking clip is going to be like, does he have a micro penis? My wife is going to be mortified that everyone knows now.
The secret is out. But no, yeah, we're lucky to
Dan O'Connor, that motherfucker. When I came out with the Albanian one nickname, he goes, immediately tags me, goes, the Albanian 1 inch.
Yeah,
and I was like, dude, go fuck yourself.
Some guys just have that.
Dude, Dan is such a shit.
Yeah.
Dan is such a shit, but I love him. He's my shit.
They have a sixth sense for finding the perfect burn to melt you to the ground.
God made him short on purpose because if he would have made him tall, he would have had there would be no pussy left for the rest of us. That's it. That's all she wrote. Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
There's always that equalizer.
You got to have that equalizer in life, yeah, for
sure. But, sorry, we don't have to
We went way off the reservation.
Micro penis. No, I mean, I know that I speak for all of the MMA community when I say this. Knuckle Junkies was just such a boon to us and such a net positive that when you guys, called it a show, it was sad. And I'll be honest with you, we've had conversations about bringing it back to like what extent and everything, but so long as it's just Shamrock, I mean, it doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, that's kind of why kind of killed it for us because we were just going to Shamrock events and toward 2019 I don't want to disrespect them, but they weren't. I've seen better Shamrock shows. They were the early 2019s weren't their best work as far as they've had some great shows. They had that Selleck Waltney. It's
also hard to stay so consistent for so long.
You're
going to have your snoozers. You're going to have some nights are going to be like, holy shit, that's the best thing we've ever done. And then some nights are going to be like, well, that happened.
And credit to them, they have raised their game recently. Yeah. And that's because...
Dude, I went to the Brilliance Ballroom. I'll tell you what, as far as a venue goes, that's up there now. I still say that the best venue ever was the Armory.
Oh,
the Armory was the best venue ever that I've ever been to for fighting. That includes the Family Arena.
Yeah.
That includes the Brilliance Ballroom, Ameristar, River City. Dude, the Armory was amazing.
Well, for someone like me who gets to control the big screen, like when you walk in and you see my poster there, and
dude.
it's just like, because you feel like you're in the
how many how many feet was that screen? It's got to be like over 120.
I think it was like 150 feet. Yeah,
It was insane. For those that don't understand, this thing is like a warehouse, and it's a shame that it went out of business. But this thing is like a warehouse. You turn the corner after you walk in, and all the way on the other side of this warehouse is this big fucking 150-foot LED screen,
right,
and
on a stage,
and it made it so that no matter what you were doing in there, let's say you were like in line at the bar to get a drink, you could still watch the fights so clearly.
Yeah.
There was no bad seat in that place to watch fights. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So many bathrooms, great parking.
Yeah, so many bars.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, that parking, there was a little sus there about like, you're in the city, man, and so long as you don't have prosecutors that prosecute, you got crime. So, but near the end, they did like hire security and get cameras and stuff like that. But
no, that was a fun place to do shows. We were at Ballpark Village before that, and it was. We were shoehorned in there. It was not meant to host a cage.
It's not meant to do what you guys were trying to do.
But there was a lot of sizzle. There's like the ribbon. There's the screen.
Ballpark wouldn't be bad if you wanted to do it outside. But the problem is you're rolling the dice.
You're not getting all the screens and everything like that. For me, like the visuals help kind of like
spice it up a little.
Yeah, spice it up a little bit. Because I'm a graphics guy, so that kind of appeals to me. But the factory's cool. But yeah, just back to the point though, Shamrock's kind of elevated their game a little bit recently, and that's because they have a healthy competitor that was pushing them.
Yeah.
So
competition it's
great
key,
for but that kind of ultimately 2019's there wasn't a lot going on, and we didn't even realize it was pre-COVID because COVID shut MMA down like hard for a year.
Shut a lot of gyms down too. Like a lot of gyms went under, promotions went under.
Yeah,
that was a dark time.
That's kind of when I quit jiu-jitsu because like. My wife was like, "You can't social distance when you're sweating in each other's mouths," in jiu-jitsu. So,
Gulf of America. COVID was weird, dude. Our reaction to it. And everything.
I don't want to get you shadow banned for.
No, what's funny about that too is like 100% there are certain things that we cannot say on these episodes now.
Yeah,
and this will be episode 130. I've done enough of these episodes, and you know me, I look at all the analytics and everything. I can tell you which episodes are going to do good and which episodes are going to do bad in terms of the algorithm just by what we say on it. And it is so obvious to me now.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks because it's like, not that I always want to get political on episodes.
Right.
It's not the goal. It's just this whole mentality of like, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I don't want the conversation to go a certain way because it's like, okay, well, now we said this stuff for like a minute long. It's going to get caught by the AI when you're doing your rendering, and it's not shadow ban us in the sense like we're not in the algorithm, but like I'll be honest with you. When we have episodes where we don't touch anything controversial whatsoever, the ability for the episode to reach people, it's reach. It's
called reach.
It's reach, okay?
Yeah.
It's reach. Is just 3 to 4x. It's not just slightly noticeable. It's a completely different game changer.
And unfortunately, I read a stat. YouTube is responsible for like 13% of all streaming in America.
So our Spotify numbers are similar to our YouTube numbers. I will say that our Spotify numbers, on average, are better than our YouTube numbers. But there are some YouTube episodes that have done better than Spotify. Karma RX is better on YouTube than Spotify. Yeah. Kyle Watson is way better on Spotify than YouTube. I think it depends on the people, depends on their demographics. You know what I mean? But like
his gym is mainly 20-year-olds.
But what I'm trying to say though is, I wish Spotify showed some of the metrics like YouTube does because Spotify is so consistent.
Yeah,
like so consistent. It doesn't matter what we talk about. Pretty much status quo.
And they've pretty much had a non-censorship stance.
Yes. Yet,
even when Rogan had all the pressure and all the artists were pulling their music, Spotify's like, we're
our first episode with Dan O'Connor. We didn't really talk about politics or whatever. We were just talking about fighting and everything. Did really well. Yeah. Second episode, we were talking about it was just post the Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, straight line down. I'm telling you. And I'm like, how is it that this episode did 1/3 as good as the first episode? Maybe it's people didn't want to listen to it. I'm not trying to make myself seem like, people always want to watch our content. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but you have a control and the variables like
when you look at the analytics, it makes no sense compared to the first one. If I showed you the first to the second side by side, you're like, something ain't right here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. And then the very next episode is like 800 views or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, it's everything that people say is true. Everything.
Yeah. Well, I will say things have changed a little bit. I've been watching this Twitch streamer, The Burnt Peanut, and he's amazing. And he's by far the biggest streamer, like outside of like your Kai Cenat and those guys like that. He's averaging like 45,000 views when he's playing, and he is very un-PC. Like it does feel like the pendulum is swinging back a little bit the other way.
I hear Twitch is dying. The grand consensus is that Twitch is on a downward slope.
I'll click on a video. I'll get to watch it for like 2 minutes, like watch him live for 2 minutes, and they'll have 7 unskippable ads like queued up that I have to sit through to get back to the live content.
That's insane.
It's insane, and that's watching.
Make it unwatchable.
Yeah, I mean,
bro, that's cable. That's cable television numbers.
7 unskippable ads before you can get back to the content.
For those of you that are too young to remember cable television, let me explain. Let me learn you something. If there was a 30-minute episode of a TV show, 21 minutes would be dedicated to that TV show. 9 minutes would be dedicated to advertisements. Yeah. So when you're talking about like you watch for 2 minutes, and then you got 7 30-second unskippable ads. Yeah. Okay, so 3.5 minutes of ads for every 2 minutes you're watching. Like, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure the ratio's not that bad.
That doesn't come back for another like 15 minutes or so, but it's still.
Bro, I would just walk out of the room. Like, I'm gonna go get a burrito.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Right. So.
Anyway, from what I hear, Twitch is it's different from the days that we did it. That was a cool time too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Chris and everybody, but
yeah, I loved making those. If anybody wants to get down there,
no, they don't. Please, it's a separate life. We will not talk about that. You know, it's funny. You were worried about going down certain paths. Yeah. Now I'm worried about going down certain paths.
I flipped the tables on you.
So, if you don't mind me going back to the Knuckle Junkies days, obviously you and Brett are still like talk or whatever. You were the one that I had to reach out to get a hold of Brett so that I could get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Now I have his number, so I don't need you anymore.
Brett is great. Like, no, there's not a bigger Oasis fan in St. Louis than Brett. He went to Chicago, and I talked to him, and he's like, "Man, I really want to go to L.A. and watch him again because it was so great." But he didn't. He he's dad. He's got a responsibilities.
It's a different life now.
But no, I really learned a lot working with him. Just like, because I got a C in creative writing, but I wrote like probably maybe 40% of all the Knuckle Junkies articles. He wrote probably the other 55%,
and then the other 5 was Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan and some other freelance guys. But I learned a lot because I would send him copy and he would just rip it to shreds. So I learned how to like structure it, and I had some really good articles. The one I'm most proud of, I went to the Hicks and Gracie seminar, and I wrote kind of a fluff piece on Rodrigo Vaghi and the lineage, and I got to interview Hicks and Gracie. So there's a little bit of some questions me and him, asked, and the lead singer from Tool, Maynard James Keenan, was at the seminar, and I talked to Todd Fox, your buddy Todd, and I was like, "Can I just interview Maynard?" And he's like, "Let me ask. But don't ask anything about Tool. Don't ask when the next album's coming out. It has to be strictly jiu-jitsu." So I got like 5 minutes with Maynard, who's like a pretty, big name in the rock and roll world. So I wrote this long article about the seminar and Hickson.
Some of the names, some of the faces.
And the relationship with Rodrigo and Hickson, and then also a little bit with Maynard in there. So that I'm really proud of that one. But Brett always Brett was mentored me as far as like writing. So to today I'm pretty good at like emails. Like all my emails are like on the corporate side.
I hope this email finds you before I do.
So no,
do you miss it? Knuckle Junkies
Oh
days?
Yeah, it was great. It was so much fun. But I love what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about.
Well, it was a natural transition, right? So in the Knuckle Junkies days, you were kind of. You were Switzerland. You were like
we're neutral
territory. Since then you've taken that skill set that you've developed with like thumbnails and writing, And you've actually added to that as well for like a lot of technical aspects when it comes to production.
Yeah, if I knew back then what I knew now, that it would be so much different. Like it would look different, it would feel different. Be a lot more podcasts, be a lot more video, it'd be a lot of other stuff.
Well, that's life in general, right?
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020.
So yeah, around 2019, around kind of the time when we were kind of winding down Knuckle Junkies, Brad Marlene asked if I would help them Twitch stream, because I've been experimenting a little bit. Before Two Pros Knows, there was MMA Sucks. It was John Minky, and you know, I've always I always have been kind of a behind the scenes guy. I always thrive behind the camera, you know, pulling the strings. So I found two people that kind of had a similar voice to me.
Yeah, I had to wait 130 episodes before I could ask the guy to do a podcast with me.
I got Jim, and actually Jim Jenkins got us to shut that down, because he was like, my sponsors are like,
what the hell is
this?
Well, you had John Mankey and Dan O'Connor talking about spit roasting hookers and shit. It was the wild west of podcasting.
We had Eric Irving on there, and John was asking, why are you called the groundhog? And anyway, that was the one that kind of got us shut down. Jim kind of leaned on us like, hey, you can't be doing this.
You guys are ruining my business.
You're hurting my business. So, but before that, then we went to True Pros Knows. We did a little bit of that.
Me and Jordan Dowdy.
I was experimenting with like streaming and Twitch, and like how to do like overlays and transparent graphics.
I want people to know that Two Pros Knows would not have been possible without you. Matt had to be there every night that we did it and filmed it to stream it for us, and if it wasn't for him and those Skype calls and stuff like that.
But I'm so much better at that now.
Well, because I like to think I am too.
Yeah, you're a lot better. You know how to walk the line, and also to give you some flowers, you've done a great job. Like some of the interviews with like Steve Berger and Mike Rogers, you've really been able to like pull stuff out of them, make them feel at ease, while also like trying to like cover topics that interest you and maybe interest other people, you know. So yeah,
I think that
on that.
I think that even though I might not agree, like, listen, I've had a lot of guests on that I don't agree with. Dude, 99% of what they say. Go ahead. I love you, Tavon. I know it's human nature. We say this in sales, like, what does everyone want to talk about? Themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the topic they are the most acutely aware of,
right,
the most sensitive to, and the most knowledgeable in, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, out of all the things that you could talk about, there is nothing you could talk about more intellectually and more sound than yourself.
Yeah.
So it'll be the topic that you resonate with the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is there's hurdles, either, internal or external, that people don't want to open up on certain things. Now, here is where I believe that being an open book in 90% of your life is actually helpful, because not the other 10% where it's like, what's my social security number? What's this? There is information that I obviously would never probe into. I try my hardest not to like go into what people do for their like livelihood, because obviously like you have a day job, I got a day job, you know what I mean? So
you're right.
Separate that stuff, because I don't really think that's material unless the day job is reflective of the things. Like, let's say your day job is like the thing that you're passionate about, you do some non-for-profit, okay, then we'll bring that in.
Right.
But like with Steve Berger, with his family, for instance, it's like, I could tell that Steven kind of liked talking a little bit about this. And people do want to dive in this as long as they feel like they're in a safe environment to do so. And the thing I try to do the most is, hey, just so you know, I'm fucked up. I've done a lot of fucked up things in my life. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm never going to try to persuade you that I'm perfect. I'm flawed just as much as you are. And I am the last person that's ever going to judge you. But I do want to understand why you think the way you do.
Well, the impressive part, I know your relationship with Steve. Like you guys weren't like good friends before that, and obviously
I like him. He likes me.
You run in the same circles, have similar friends. Yeah. Mike's your friend, but for him to open up with all these cameras and to somebody who he's an acquaintance but not necessarily a homie, it's impressive. You can pull that out of people like that.
I felt like he felt safe. We were supposed to also like. Because obviously he's very liberal. And
sure.
I don't really consider myself a conservative, but I'm much more right-leaning than he is. We were also supposed to have like this. We talked beforehand, like I do with all guests, and I'm like, hey, I don't have questions. Like I don't write any questions down. I think everybody knows that by now. But what I do have is like, I want to go talk about this and then this and then this.
You have
Kinda
an
just
outline.
a skeleton. Yeah. And I told Steve, I was like, I want to talk about you, this, and then I would really like to talk about politics if you want to. And Steve, to his credit, was down.
I was there for that podcast, and it was like 2.5 hours or more.
The problem was when you have a deep conversation, there are, because I have gotten flack from some people like, why didn't you talk about this? Why didn't you talk about that? And I'm like, guys, it is so hard to have a thoughtful, coherent conversation through multiple through multiple topics and the context therein, and then do a hard pivot to a completely unrelated topic just because you want to talk about it.
You can't pump the brakes and I want to talk about this.
We just had a heart-to-heart.
Yeah, it's
who'd you vote for in the last election?
You're just going like a river. It's like flowing. It's
Exactly.
going to go this way a little bit. Like our conversation probably didn't go. I mean, we're talking about video games for like 10 minutes. So it's, most people are probably tuned out by then.
Oh, dude. Their dicks were out of their hands. No, but I the reason I say that is because it was a criticism that I had on podcasts as well. When you watch a podcast, you think to yourself, like, that's so easy. Anybody can do it. And you're right. It is easy. Anybody can do it. But what I will say is there's a reason why Joe Rogan's number one. Right. There's a reason why these guys are head and shoulders above the rest. And it's because the barrier to entry is literally a camera and a mic, or not even a camera, just mics, right? Some sort of audio recording. That's the barrier to entry.
Right.
So almost anybody can have a podcast. Now, whether or not that's good, dude, go back to my first episode, go to my 50th episode, go to my 100th, and go to now. You can see, it's kind of like fighting. My first fight towards my 10th fight towards my last fight.
It's like anything reps.
Reps. Repetition.
That's the secret to success.
So we were talking about Knuckle Junkies.
Yeah.
And what you're doing now is more like behind the scenes production.
So for those who don't know,
how'd you even get in there? Because Marlene,
they wanted to stream their show on Twitch just to get it out there, maybe sell some more tickets. And we were doing shows at Casa Loma Ballroom. I don't know if you've ever been to Casa Loma.
No,
but it's up 2 flights of stairs, and it's interesting because they have like a balcony around it, and then you can see down into. And it's kind of neat. It's not in a great area. It's on Cherokee Street, but. They wanted some help, and I didn't really know what I was doing other than I'd streamed some podcasts and stuff like that. So they asked me to help, and we had some various commentators. The audio was terrible, but
humble beginnings.
But then around like NFA 6 or 7, I got Chris Denman introduced me to Matt McElrath, and
Media Outlaws.
We're homies now, but I brought him in as a consultant just to show me vMix, because we had talked about maybe getting vMix to upgrade from OBS, because OBS wasn't really doing what we were. OBS is a streaming platform, and vMix
it's also a free streaming platform.
Yeah, it's a free one, and you can.
We use vMix for the podcast.
Yeah,
Big
vMix
fan.
is nice. So Matt came in to show me some just some basics on you can do this, and we didn't have a fight timer, we didn't have anything, and he was just there as purely as a consultant. Well, what he didn't know was the camera crew quit at the end of that show, and we need a camera crew. I was like, Matt, you're up. So his next show was Farmington, or our next show was in Farmington, and he brought a crane, he brought all his camera buddies, and Matt hires his buddies, and they all have different specialties, and slowly we've built this production team. There's a photo on.
Oh yeah, I just saw from the last NFA. You have like a team of 9 people now.
Yeah, there's a couple interns in there, but.
Damn, why'd you separate that? We have a team of 9. Yeah, but not the interns, those subhumans.
But honestly, for the dollar, the amount of money that's paid to us versus the product is like we're not anywhere close to UFC, but dollar for dollar, we're probably
if people knew what you guys got paid and the product you're pumping out, they'd shit their pants.
If you've seen our clips, it sounds great because Matt Sawicki, who helped with some of your audio, professional DJ, got a golden ear. Like he's got. If you watch one of our pay-per-views, he's got the cage mic now. You can hear the corners giving instructions just like they're sitting right here to you. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing that the UFC does.
Yeah,
you guys are stepping up your game.
He's got the same mics that he found out. He watched UFC and watched for the mics and found the same exact mics, and we have the same exact mics the UFC have on their cage, and it sounds crystal clear. I do all the graphics. Matt does the directing and all the technical setup and stuff like that. We got a couple great camera. Jason, is our roving cameraman. He gets down low. He's like he gets over the shoulder shots. Like there's one of our best moments. Ray Hayes. We always were trying to push the envelope. We had Rebel Zeus Waters, who's like a local hip hop artist. He wrapped Ray to the cage, and Jason gets this shot where Ray is getting his Vaseline on, and you see Zeus in the background rapping, and it's just like one of the coolest like visual moments. And obviously,
I love talking to you and Matt about this shit because Matt had the same when we had McElrath on the podcast. He literally got teary eyed talking about people's moments and creating these these moments in time where people will. I mean, people will be able to, the fighters, Ray and all these other guys, they'll be able to watch this afterwards. Not.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they can watch it now. I'm talking about 10, 15, 20 years down the line. They'll have kids and they'll be older and this life will be past them, this life. But they'll still be able to look back and go, damn, look at what I did. Look how this was.
And, Matt McElrath, he's got some friends, and we called in some favors. We had Inimical Drive. You had, what's his name?
Zach.
Yeah.
Zach Mosier.
Zach Mosier.
I forgot that we went to high school together.
I love that.
Halfway through the podcast.
I didn't know you went to high school with Vadim also.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Nadim, the Saint.
He's the ref, state ref.
He's the state athletic commission, one of the state athletic commission's refs.
Yeah, he's great. He was at the show this weekend.
He's a cool cat.
I
think he was like 2 or 3 years younger than me. I think I was a senior when he was like a freshman or sophomore.
I mean,
but it's a small fucking world.
You've been to Shady Jack's. You've been to Hard Ballroom. From that to the factory with like a touring band kicking off the show. Like crazy visuals, smoke, the lights are on par, we're a long way from that.
Can I present to you an argument? I'd be curious if you agree with me or not. I think that fight night has never been better.
Yeah.
Like fight night, the production, the venues, all the bells and whistles have never been better. Yet the buildup has never been worse. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like, I remember that back then, man, we didn't have all this other shit. We'd have some Jim Jenkins poster.
Yeah.
Yet you would go to the fights, and the fights would be at the heart of St. Charles with whatever lighting, with whatever. Like, we didn't have video. We had Sarah Levin or Jim.
Bob Barton, Jim Range.
Jim Range. I was about to say Jenkins. Sorry, Jim Jenkins. Jim Range. And, like, don't get me wrong, photography-wise, substantial, amazing. But like, we didn't have any of this shit that the guys have now. Yet I was more jazzed back then, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been trying to pinpoint what it is, but before I continue, I would like to hear, do you agree or disagree with what I just said?
I just think MMA as a whole was hotter in the 2010s, just because people were, I listed all the guys in the UFC. There was like 12 guys that from St. Louis.
We still have guys that go to the UFC now.
And we do now. We got Evan, we got Charles Johnson, we got
Jackson
McVeigh, we got
Joaquin Buckley, Sean Woodson.
We've got some guys. And,
hopefully to
and
go
those
to
guys
Bush.
those guys are great. All the guys are great.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say though is like there's been a consistent amount of talent that's gotten out to the UFC, but what I'm saying is like,
it feels.
I know what it is. It's the same guys fighting on the same cards every time now.
Yeah,
it's the same guys.
Yeah.
Hartwigger is going to be on the next Shamrock.
Roger.
And then 3 of the guys from Hans are going to be in the next NFA.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. Like you have to use what you got and all this other stuff. It's like, is this all we have? And maybe a part of that is the fact that like, it's harder to match up. But I remember back in the day, people would be on Facebook talking shit to each other and getting fights started like that. Hey, pussy, fight me.
Yeah.
Why aren't you fighting me?
One of my favorite moments, Chris Hadley. You remember Chris Hadley? Yeah. He was a menace. Like he
Stump.
He would fight every weekend. And I mean, like, he would fight every weekend, and to the point where he
as an amateur, he had like over 50 fights.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
And he had beaten a couple of this guy's teammates, and this guy was like, enough. I'm taking this guy out, right? It's like, I'm going to fight him. And Tony Souders, I don't know if you remember Tony Souders. Like, he fought for Berger. He was fought on Berger's team. Anyway, freak athlete, super strong dude. But Chris put on one of the worst one-sided beatings on the first round, and the guy survives, comes back and submits Stump. And it was like a shocker.
Holy shit.
It was like a holy crap moment because Stump lost because he was on like a crazy streak, and
the guy to survive the first round.
Yeah, it was probably a 10-8 easy the first round, and the guy survives and comes out in the second round submits Stump, and it was like, there was like crazy moments that I can call back, but I don't know. It's just, you're right. There's never been more sizzle and less steak.
Yeah.
But that's not disrespect to the fighters. Well, there's fighters out there busting their ass. It's just, but it kind of here. Okay, I'll go a step further. It kind of is.
People, I talked about this with Dan O'Connor and Adam. People marketed themselves better back then. I have no idea who any of these guys are, and I like this sport.
Yeah,
I follow this sport. I'm actively looking for the next guys. I want podcast guests. I want guys. It's in my best interest. I want you to be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't need you to be a professional to be on the podcast. I want a story. I want something to talk about. Give me something. I hate to say it this way, but like, okay, why was Conor McGregor such an icon? Was it because he had a left hand? Yeah, that helped. But it was also that he grabbed the mic afterwards. I don't know who the fuck that guy is. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's the whole fucking package. I think there's a correlation between Jackson doing a good Trump impression after a win and then getting signed to the UFC, because they know it too. The same thing that works here at the micro level works at the macro level. Well, set yourself up, differentiate yourself, yes, in your skill set, but also in your marketability.
Obviously.
And you don't have to be, forgive me,
yeah.
You don't have to be something you're not. Amplify who you are. If you're a nerd, then the fight nerds with the glasses and the tape, then be a fucking nerd. If you're a brash guy, be brash. Like, just whoever you are, amplify that. If you're the humble guy, be the humble guy. Fucking Poetan, all he says is chama. Yeah. And everyone loses their fucking mind because he knocks people out, right? Just like everybody else knocks people out. There's a lot of guys that knock people out.
That's the universal language, right?
Yes, but it's what I'm trying to say though is that marketability factor is the authentic nature of who you are, but amplify that.
Yeah.
No one had to teach me to be me. This is me. You put a microphone in front of my face, a camera in front of my face, I'm going to be me. So what I'm telling guys is don't shy from the moment and celebrate yourself. Celebrate your hard work. Be confident. I'm not saying talk shit. Be the most humble guy. Look at Evan Elder. Evan Elder hasn't said a bad word to anybody in probably his whole fucking life.
Nicest dude.
He's one of the nicest dudes.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Back to Jackson. I can see UFC's gear spinning. Like, they saw him win some fights, do the Trump impression, and they're like,
the dance,
we've got a UFC at the White House coming up.
That'd be hilarious.
Let's get him doing the Trump impression in front of Trump. I can see them doing that, but...
all I'm saying is, there are many ways to get to the promised land, and it's not just one path.
Right.
Diversify yourself, and
MMA as a business is hard. Like,
I don't think so.
Like the gym business.
Oh, that's okay, but I agree to the extent that you don't solidify a youth program. If you don't solidify a youth program, if you're an MMA gym exclusively to adults, yes, it's going to be difficult. But every gym I know that has a youth program is sustainable. That's the bread and butter.
St. Charles MMA, the outlier in that though, because they don't know if
they have a youth program.
They have some youth program, but when you walk into that gym and there's guys like
that's a fighter's gym.
Yeah, that's a fighter's gym. It's not.
But okay, by that logic, go to ESMMA. They got a bunch of guys that's shirtless, jacked. That's a fighter's gym. Wolves Den, fighter's gym. Guess when the fighters come in? After the kids have left.
Yeah,
kids classes from 4 to 5. Right. MMA doesn't start till 5:30.
Yeah, I was just talking to them the other day about starting a gym, and they were like, got to have a kids program.
You have to. If you want us to be sustainable.
Because MMA fighters, they don't always pay the dues.
Well, I remember I had a conversation with Jake Roberts, and like Jake was like, man, it's getting really hard to like make a living and all this other stuff. And Jake was talking about this, that, or the other, and I go, dude, you have to get a day job.
Yeah. Not
a single fighter that you train exclusively fights for their living.
Yeah.
What makes you different? Like, you're going to be a trainer? You got
Pat Smith.
Dude, Jeff Henry. Jeff Henry would be like a mortgage lender and then like come in and hold pads for me.
Alan Smith.
Yeah, dude.
But Patrick, I love Patrick. He builds decks and fences and all that kind of stuff and runs a small little, like, you saw the size of the pit in Cuba.
Talk about Pat Smith, sorry.
Yeah, it is tiny. It is tiny.
It was tiny. He doesn't have it anymore.
And he put 3 guys in the UFC. Sanchez to some degree. But
El Dirte. He was there.
But Well, yeah, I'm just talking about like how much influence Patrick had. I mean, Patrick cornered him for all his UFC fights, but my point is day job and coaching and running a promotion because he loves the fighting. Patrick's interview was great, by the way. I love his old
dude. We got dinner afterwards, and that was the precursor for everything else that we talked about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah,
I like Patrick Smith a lot. He is such a genuinely good man. That what you see is what you get, and how he speaks on camera is how he speaks off camera.
And I was working with him for Respect. We did before CXPJ. It was like the professional jiu-jitsu. And I had a family emergency. And we were in Kansas City, okay? And we had spent all day setting up. And I get this call, and it's a family emergency. And it was like I had to leave. And I rented a car and went home. And he never held that against me. And he probably should have. But, I mean, I don't know.
No,
But just saying
it doesn't shock me that he doesn't.
Yeah, and I left him high and dry. But I had no choice.
I often say this. Family is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
It's not money. It's not any of these things. Because, like, why do we work? We work to support our families.
Right.
So
I still feel terrible about that. So I'm sorry, Patrick.
Well, he's probably like, he doesn't know this, but I hold it against him. The work that you do behind the scenes, it doesn't also just exclusively hold to fight promotions, though.
Yeah.
You do the thumbnails. And I'll say this right now. If it wasn't for you, you were a pivotal part in this podcast. If it wasn't for you and McElrath, I don't know if you remember, but the way this started was we had lunch with Jeremy Johnson, you and McElrath at the time.
And that's when I met Matt.
Yeah. And we got some burger place or whatever. And I started talking with Jeremy because I was like, thinking about doing this podcast. I need some space. I know you have a warehouse. I'll rent some of it out. And then McElrath was like, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. I was like, oh, I like this guy, I like his ideas. And then kind of piggybacked off of that. I also have to say, I want to apologize for that time I called you going off about the price of everything.
Yeah.
I was like losing my mind. We were like, I thought the budget was going to be like 10 grand. And then after I was like 35 grand in, I was like, listen, I'm not made out of money.
I will say.
I went off on Matt. I want to publicly apologize. I'm sorry for that.
Oh, no, I totally forgot about it.
Okay,
but
that's why how Pat feels about your family emergency.
I will say I did play an important part in this podcast because
100%.
Somebody couldn't put the chairs together.
That's not true. I was putting the bookshelf together.
Someone had to take the chairs apart.
I put these chairs together.
You took them apart 3 times. And
fuck you.
But I did get them.
The white one I put together. These I put together. The table I put together. It's 3 pieces. Bookshelf. That was me.
Yeah. So yeah,
Keurig. I bought that. I plugged it in.
The secret is that I do the thumbnails. So if you do see my thumbnail tonight, it might be Giga Chat. It might not be. We'll see. But no, I had an interesting thing happen, and I don't think it's happened before. I design a lot of T-shirts for fighters. I do a lot of merch, and one of my side hustles is Brawler Brand. If you need a banner, Brawler Brand. And I actually had 2 fighters. And I designed gear for both of them, and they were fighting each other.
Really?
So when the first guy walked out, I was like, oh, I did that shirt. It was Luke Winston, the Sub-Zero shirt, which I'm really proud of that one. It looks really cool. And then Jason Powell comes out, and he's wearing Imposed Will. And I don't know if people knew this, but I did a lot of stuff for Imposed Will. And there's all these runes on the sleeve. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did that. And the intern sat next to me was a Wiccan. I didn't know this. And she was really into runes. She's like, oh, cool. He's got all these really cool runes. What is he? Is he like a Norse guy? What is he? I was like, well, I designed that, and I just used clip art, and I just Googled Norse runes, and I cut and pasted. It
probably says like "I love choking dudes" or something like that.
But it looks really cool. But it's total clip art, just cut and pasted to make.
You ruined this intern's like evening.
And she's like, "Oh, dang, I was really into that." So,
broke the fourth wall.
But yeah, I had 2 fighters that fought each other, and I did both their gears.
How'd that fight go, by the way? I think Luke won, right?
I will say Jason had one of the coolest walkout songs, intro. We had Cold Spark Pyro. So he walks out, he's got this Norse hood on, everyone's really serious. There's like this badass song playing. But I think age might be catching up to he had a knee injury going in.
He's gotta be close to 40.
He's 47.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's 47. So he's my age.
I think
he'll be 48 in like a month or so.
He looks like 30.
He's
in like his athletic prime.
Phenomenal. Yeah, but I think he had a knee injury coming into it. I don't know for a fact, but that's what I heard. And he injured it in the fight. So the fight didn't really go. It wasn't really it didn't really happen much, you know.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
But-
I didn't know he was 47. God bless him.
and I like Jason. He's a very interesting dude, but I will say he was such a bully to me in the gym on doing jiu-jitsu. And I don't know if he didn't like I don't know if I was because I'm an outsider or what, but he probably tapped me like, I don't know, 8 times in like a minute. And I'm like, okay.
Hey man, I'm just
I'm just
a dad here to work out.
You know, I'm just trying to get some fitness in. You know, I'm not trying to win a
Trying
Naga
to
belt.
fitness in you.
Yeah. So no, he was definitely a bully to me.
You don't help with just my podcast though, and
Yeah.
you were a producer for a minute there, and then unfortunately you have a very busy schedule with your kids and everything. So I wanted to say publicly as well, thank you for all the work that you put in on this podcast. Without you, we would not be here for episode 130, 100%.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
But you also help with other podcasts with Jeremy Johnson's MMA Bourbon Appreciation
MMA Bourbon,
Society.
we did that last night, yeah. And as we mentioned earlier, I was streaming
That's like
on
episode
77, and I was streaming on the wrong page. So even after 77 reps of this and helping on this one, you know, I still...
Can I tell you something that irritated the fuck out of me at the Zach and Pat show? Sorry, not the Zach and Pat show, but when I had Zach and Pat on for the second time. For an hour and a half, Pat is off focus. And Adam is just sitting there like, oh, I thought it was supposed to be like that. So like, I want you guys to know that like if you ever see something wrong with like the audio, the video, I guarantee you I've already seen it and I've already lost my shit. So the last thing I fucking need is another person messaging me on Instagram like, at hour 2, minute 51, this didn't look right.
Well, most of your producers, no offense to her, but are basically homeless, right? Like
Homeless?
you find homeless people to come in here and
You were a producer. No, man, Tony was my ex-wrestler. He's I don't know if I should dox these people. Well, actually,
T,
we got 2 T's.
TPM.
Male T. He's going to college. He's doing his thing. And Adam is, he needs to get fired because he doesn't like MMA. But outside of that, no, I mean, here's the thing. The nature of this is, like, I don't know what it's going to be. Has it grown? Yes. Are we starting to make some money from this? Like, yes. Like, we are. But, like, I don't want to get lost in the sauce. I don't want to start pumping a whole lot of money into this, making it a business that is, like, for the next year and a half, we're going to play it cool and slow. We're going to see where it is. My whole goal was 5 years.
Yeah.
After 5 years, we'll see it. We will be year 2. We'll eclipse in April of 2026. Mm-hmm. So we're almost halfway there.
And I assaulted you with ideas like, we should do this, we should do this, we should go live, we should do that. And thank you for, you know, taking those ideas in and considering them a little bit, you know.
They're things I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do all the things that everybody wants to do. I do.
Right.
But
no, you've been able to kind of, you know, take it slow, build it steady, you know, slow and steady wins a race, you know.
I just need time to, like, I think the way to grow is through series of peaks and then plateaus. Mm-hmm. So, like, you don't grow from, like, 0 to 10 in a year. That's not what happens. What happens is year 1, you go from, like, you know, in the first 6 months, you go from 0 to 2. And then you stay at 2 for like 3 months, so you go from 2 to 4. Mm-hmm. And then you stay at 4 for like 6 months, so you go from 4 to 6. And then over the course of time, you get to 10, but you have to grow and then assimilate that growth. Mm-hmm. And then once you get comfortable, then grow again to where you're uncomfortable. Then assimilate that growth. Because if you grow too much, too fast, you will implode.
Well,
you will implode.
Back to Oasis, they went from a pub band to playing Wembley Stadium in the course of, like, I mean, Brett will probably kill me. I get the facts wrong.
How do you not know when they were born?
I get the facts wrong, but no, they went from like a pub band to like Wembley Stadium, and nobody can grow that quickly and be able to cope with it as a human and millions of dollars, fame, you know,
simple
all
chemistry,
that.
dog.
Yeah, you
burn out.
You need to like.
Here's the other thing is, like, you know, some of the projects I have outside of this, and you also deal with this because you have 3 children. You have, you know, you're a family man. You have your day job.
2
you have
children I like,
project.
and one that I'm kind of
disown the other one. But it's like, okay, there are additional projects that I'm putting on my plate. Then there's like the professional development that I have in my corporate gig.
Right.
It's like, how do I navigate this to where everything is still important and nothing is starting to recede? Mm-hmm. I have a pie chart, right, of like hours I have in a day, a week, a year. How can I allocate this accordingly so that I can? What I mean by this is, if this was my only thing, then you're right. I could just go from 0 to 10 in a year. You're right. But the problem is what's happening is I have like 3 other businesses. So like,
well, you're like a dad with 6 children. How do you give each of them the right amount of attention, you know, even the ugly one, you know, but how do you, you know, give your attention to everyone equally because they all need to go this way. Yeah. They all need to grow.
Correct, but like, let me imagine if the children were already grown up. So like, you get your businesses to businesses to a point where they can function, right?
Right.
So
that's the hard part, is getting it to that next level. You know what I mean? Like my brother experienced that as his ice cream business was like, how do we have this locked in? How do we like expand, franchise, and that is the hardest part.
So I'll tell you this, like this business is tough because the product is me. And I have been flirting around with the idea of like renting out the space and maybe doing like an umbrella media company and like not only having just Easy Talk, but
I like to see how you pull that off.
What?
I like to see how you pull that off.
What do you mean?
Renting the space out.
Well, what I would do is I would have written agreements with people under my umbrella because we have the media company for a reason, right? So it's like the LLC is not Easy Talk LLC, it's Easy Media and Entertainment. So like I did that on purpose because I didn't know what the future would have. So like there's the trademark Easy Talk, but then there's the LLC Easy Media and Entertainment. That's the business side of this. So like if someone comes up to me and says like they want to do their own podcast, they want to use the studio and change some things up or whatever, I'm here for that conversation, but then we'd have to have a conversation how that would look like because I spent $40,000 on the studio.
Yeah.
So if you want to use the studio, we're going to have to talk about what that looks like. And I'm okay with like not paying rent or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about, like monetary gain. But then it's like,
but you don't
can I have 3 shows under my umbrella that, you know, we build up the YouTube channels or whatever it is that we want to go through and how we want to do it. And then they can use the space and then I don't have to actually be here present. The only variable in all this is that I like doing this. Yeah. I just don't want to feel like I have to do this.
I feel like you're the type that you don't really do anything you don't like. Like
everyone does. Everyone does. Yeah. There's been podcasts that I've done because I have the producers on staff. So like I want to also generate enough revenue for them to like have like there's been times where I've booked guests specifically to have a guest so that the producers can build up some hours so they can get paid. And it's tough because you have to have enough producers that can kind of eclipse that week. So like you might be only able to make Tuesdays, let's say. Well, then another person can make 3 days and the other person can make the other 3 days. Now I have my whole week covered.
Right.
But the problem is, how do I generate enough hours for them to all kind of like still think that
and
this
you're
is
still
worthwhile?
paying all out of pocket up all of this because
this is. I mean, we make, you know, I don't want to say how much we make, but there's like a monthly allotment that we make now. But let me put it this way: it's still in the negative. I'm still paying out of this out of my pocket. But I will say, because we had a conversation off the record, the network effect of this podcast has far. I generate revenue.
It's intangible value that's hard to put a value on, but
yeah, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah,
it was a wise financial decision, but we have to at year 5. By year 5, this has to be a self-sufficient thing. Right. This has to be generating enough revenue for it to justify itself, or I won't be doing this anymore. We'll keep the space. We'll use the space. We just won't do Easy Talk.
And we've talked about this before offline.
Or maybe we do, Matt, because 3 years from now, I might think completely different about this.
Well, also, when also value that this is added is, we've talked about this before, and I don't think you mind me talking, but people had an opinion of you.
Yeah.
Previously, obviously, you sold a lot of tickets because you were willing to put yourself out there and talk. And a lot of people had preconceived notions of you, but doing this has kind of healed your reputation among a lot of the fight fans. But I mean, not that you really care what they think of you, but
what if I were to tell you it's not as if the podcast changed anything. I'm just not fighting.
Yeah.
2 things can be correct at the same time. Like, does this help remedy some of the preconceived notions of me? Yeah, for sure. But like, am I still a cunt? Am I still like brash? Am I still cocky? Yes, to all these things. I haven't changed. Instead of fighting in a cage, now I'm in business. But like, rest assured, I'm that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I always will be.
I know some relationships are stronger now with you and certain people.
Well, it's because I offer a value that exceeds past myself. It used to be just entertainment.
Yeah.
Hey, my value is that I can make you go ooh and ah. Now it's like, hey, well, I'd like to extend this medium to you and your efforts and what you're trying to do, and it seems selfless, and in some sense it is, but it's still selfish because I'm only doing this because I want to, and I like doing it.
And to bring this back to me,
it's all about you.
Knuckle Junkies, I didn't realize at the time. I mean, I was just doing it because I was a fight nerd. Brett was doing it because he loved, but people saw an opportunity certain promoters saw it as an opportunity to get promotion for their business, and
You were a value add for
a
everybody.
value add, yeah. And I never saw myself as a value add. I just did it because I wanted to tell stories and talk about the fighters. And it was a social thing. Going to, you know how it is. You go to a show, you're in the locker room. You haven't seen this guy in a while. You haven't seen this guy.
Oh, dude, it's a high school. Every fight is a high school reunion.
It is so much fun. And the only negative side is half the room is going to go home sad. And that's, you know.
I will say the last Shamrock I went to, I was talking to Julius Anglicus, and I mean, Jesse walked right up to me, shook Julius's hand, and then I was just like, "Hi, Jesse," and Jesse just kept walking. I was just like, come on,
High
dude.
school.
Yeah, man, the high school reunions.
Yeah, you stole his girlfriend.
Something like that. The projects that you're working on now, obviously you help out with NFA. You're working to some extent. You work on this podcast. You work on Jeremy Johnson's podcast.
I just love being creative and staying busy. You know.
Well, I wanted to talk about Brawler Brands because that's like kind of how you transitioned to. You took your passion from MMA as like a journalist in that endeavor. You springboard that to more of the production side, and now you're kind of creating a business through it. Can we talk about that?
Devin Barrett is like, he was doing our vinyl stickers, and he's just
For NFA.
For NFA, and he's a hustler, and he just started. He's cold calling guys. Hey, do you need a banner? And then he's like, he gets all the information and he sends it to me, and then I just like try to like create the coolest looking banner ever. I don't know if you saw the one with the guy with the shovel.
Yeah.
You saw that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done some really cool banners.
I didn't realize all these banners were you though, because like some of
That's
them,
all me.
they all look different in style.
100%. Anything Brawler Brand is Devin's hard work and getting like
He's like the sales guy. You're the operations.
Well, he's the
guy.
sale, and he orders it and makes it and does all the and I just get Venmo'd, you know. And I have the best part. I get to
Be creative.
And make money. And it's so funny. I had this conversation with Luke Winston at the fights, and I was like, you know, because I did his banner, and it's got this really cool freeze effect on it, and it looks really neat. The problem is, like, sponsors are great about giving the fighters money sometimes, but they're good at doing that, but they don't have a logo that wasn't created in Microsoft Word.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, I have this logo that has a white background and it's all pixelated, and I have to blow this up on a 6 foot by 3 foot banner. Or what, you know, that's the only frustration I feel.
They don't know what vector files are.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, and yeah, and a lot of times I'm gonna send you my logo, and it's obviously a screenshot because it has the Apple bar across the bottom, and like this is the logo, the screenshot you took that has the swipe up bar on the bottom and has the date and time at the top, and just like, come on.
Well, you know what they say, for every 10 kids that are like starving to death, you got one boomer that can't open up a PDF.
But no, I've created some cool stuff. I got one of my favorite shirts on right now. I don't know if you remember
the Julius Anglicus. Yeah, I have that one.
You do?
I still have that one.
So that was a throwback. So in the 90s, the Lithuanian basketball team played in the Olympics. They played against Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley and all those guys.
I'm just envisioning like a bunch of Viking motherfuckers with super black athletes.
They were really tall Balkan dudes, and they were really into the Grateful Dead. So they had Grateful Dead designed shirts. They're tie-dye with like the Grateful Dead logos and stuff like that. So Julius Lithuanian. I did an homage to the Lithuanian basketball team, and I did Julius, and I had an artist draw a Bellator, like Julius with Bellator gloves on, and then did a tie-dye. And Mike Garrett, he kind of made, like, I'm really good at the artistic side, not so much as on the business side. Mike Garrett, he said it was one of the most stressful shirts he's ever done, because Mike G and I did pretty much all of St. Charles's merch for like the last 10 years together. Like he comes up with an idea, I make it, and then we get it printed, right? Because we sold 100 shirts the first day, so we had to order more, and it was just crazy the amount of shirts we sold.
Amazing.
Yeah, but this one I'm really proud of. Jake Roberts' North County Nightmare, which has Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
The one that you did of mine where you spelled Albanian one wrong?
Not everything's a home run. Yeah, and I publicly when
Albanian one.
apologize for that. I'm a one-man show. Sometimes my fingers go faster than my brain. But you never heard that against
the
me.
Albanian eagle with the USA flag
Yeah.
background. It's still one of the cooler shirts I've ever seen. So thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you working on mine.
So my work is kind of sprinkled around the St. Louis region, and it's kind of cool.
Brawler brands.
Brawler brands. Yep.
Before we put a nightcap on this, man, is there anything else that you wanted to? You were nervous about this. You were like, I don't know this.
Like I said,
an hour and a half, easy.
I'm a behind the scenes guy. I thrive when the cameras are pointing the other way.
Yeah, but that's funny because you and I have had lengthy conversations, like hour-long conversations about a lot of politics. But I mean, you're not too bad at this, Matt.
I don't.
You thought about having your own show and being under
No,
a media
no,
company
absolutely
banner?
no. I love doing the Bourbon Podcast because Jim and Craig and Jeremy, they like to be in front of the camera and I don't, so we work really well together. And then also they give me lots of free drinks. So
lots of really expensive whiskey.
Yeah,
God bless them.
Yeah, really expensive whiskey. So that I love doing that. I love my time here. Helping you get started on this.
Isn't it crazy how much it's changed?
Yeah.
Remember when we came in here for the first time?
Yeah, I remember putting this chair together because you couldn't figure out how to put the chair together.
that picture you posted for my birthday reminded me. I was like, man, that's right.
Yeah, you had a chair in the middle, right? Yeah. And I think Matt had to talk you out of or moving it or.
I forgot what we had an idea of how this was going to work. That's the other thing too. Is like, you think you're going to have a podcast, and then you're like, okay, what is this going to look like?
And not everybody should do it the way you do it because you went all the way in. You dove into the deep area. You know what I mean? You spared no expense on these cameras. You got the best mics from Heil. You bought a streaming computer. Like you opened the checkbook. Is like, let's go. And
what's the alternative?
It's looked great from the day one.
What the alternative? That's the problem. Is like, trust me, I didn't want to. I don't want to sit here and be like, yeah, I was ready to drop all the money. But it's like, okay, then you have amazing audio and then shitty video, or you have amazing video and then shitty audio. Yeah. It's like
you've been on a show where the audio was not great. And no offense to those guys.
Yeah, it was just a technical difficulty.
It's hard sometimes.
What I'm trying to say though is like, consistent is the number one thing. So like, if your audio is a 2, then actually you're better off with your video being a 2. Mm-hmm. If your video is a 5, then your audio needs to at least be a 5. Right. I'm by no means like I'm a 10. There's things I could do better, but I'm comfortable with the product, with what we've invested, and once we get this to another place, or maybe if I, find more success in my other life and I don't mind throwing another couple grand into this, there's additional things I want to do. I want to buy another camera for when we have 3 guests for like an individual dedicated camera.
We're talking about putting a TV up for research.
I also want to not just I want to have a TV there for and a second monitor there so that like they can look up stuff while we're talking about this in real time, and then bringing it up on the TV, right? But then also the feed is that the guests, when they're watching this, can also see what it is that they're seeing.
And you can see what you can see your.
I also want to do another TV over there and a headset for myself that I can actually do because vMix has the ability to do those vMix calls.
vMix calls easy.
And then once we open ourselves up, I don't necessarily like the idea of like remote calling and stuff like that. But if that is what is needed to bring in some of these guests, like I've had the opportunity to talk to like. Uriah Hall, for instance, was one guest that we were talking about, like possibly bringing on. But it's like airfare, keeping him at a nice hotel because Uriah Hall doesn't want to stay at your Motel 8, wine and dining him. So like, think about it. Like if you put him up at the Ritz, you take him to Capitol Grill, you do a podcast, you got to do this, you got to do that.
You don't have to take him to the Capitol Grill.
You do. There goes $4,000. That's a $4,000 weekend. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, is Uriah Hall worth $4,000? Yeah, but do I want to spend $4,000 on top of what I spent? I just don't.
Yeah, and that's when
But can we do a Zoom call? Yeah, we could.
When they're already in town for 6 BJJ.
I've thought about that, but the problem with that is, Sella or these guys, they're bringing them in here to do a thing for him, and he's paying that money. Yeah. So there's a conversation I can have with Sella, like if he does bring in Anthony Smith or someone, like maybe we can loop that in, and maybe I can help him with some of the expenses and kind of like 2 birds, 1 stone. That's a conversation to have. Yeah. But that's also probably so low on his totem pole.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But is it worth a conversation? Is it worth a dinner? Yeah, I think it will be. Yeah. He's a very well-networked guy, and I do think that there's like an ability for us to kind of piggyback off each other.
Yeah, one of the names I heard for the next show is like,
Henry Cejudo?
Yeah, that would be really cool. He had, I'm a big pro wrestling fan, obviously, and he had MVP, who was like a national, he was at the show just hanging out, one of the boys up on the railings, just, And yeah, he's a really well networked guy, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Brother, I appreciate you being on.
yeah. This was I had some concerns that we talk a couple times a week that maybe we've already.
Well, luckily for you, I saved all the questions. So
yeah.
So, who'd you vote for last election? I'm playing, brother. I hope it wasn't too bad.
Yep.
Matt Frazier.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.